Okay, right. So a very good evening, guys. Can y'all let me know if y'all can hear me and see a screen? Yes, all good. Nice, good. So today, guys, we're going to start off unit number 3. Right. So last week we had the unit 2 exam. Most of y'all had done. I've saved all the papers and kept. The marking has not yet started. Will start soon. Your unit 1 test, I would say 80% of the papers are done being marked. I will send you all the marks of that very, very soon. Okay, right. Now, in terms of unit number 3, right, before we get started for the unit, just want to check, did you all get the unit 3 set of tunes? Yes, it has been going in the last couple of weeks. So for all those who have paid the fees and filled the monthly registration form, your details would have been given to the courier and you would have got it, right? So I think majority of y'all should have the unit 3 tute. In case there is students who don't have the unit 3 tute, I will just put a poll on the WhatsApp group. You can vote on that. I will then check what would have happened. Okay, but majority should have. I think around 95% of y'all should have the unit 3 tute with you. Now we can get started, right? So usually, guys, I give the Christmas week as a holiday, but since last week we couldn't do the class and we did only the exam, I thought of not giving you all a holiday. We will continue with our regular class. Okay, right. So coming into unit number 3. Now I will discuss the 2 unit tests with you all as well. The unit 1 and the unit 2 test. That I will take some time and I will do it. Will not do it immediately. We'll do it like more like a recap kind of a thing once we find some time. Okay. So today we'll get started with unit number 3. Now, unit number 3 Ramai, is connected to unit number 2. And that is, it might be good news, it might be bad news for those who don't know unit number 2. So I'm having a cold. And just want to check, guys, is there anyone who has not learned unit number 2 before, maybe with me or maybe in school? You have no idea what unit number 2 is? Anyone in class like that? Just let me know on the chat box so that I can know around how many are there. You have no idea what unit number 2 is, not learned in school, not learned in any class. No idea. Right. So there is 1 to 2 people. Right. So that means everyone else knows unit number 2. So the unit number 2, Lamai, the last part of unit number 2, especially that part on market equilibrium. Right. So remember that market equilibrium part. That is the part that actually connects into unit number 3. So I'll talk about unit number 3 as well, but just letting you all know, Lama, it is connected. So sometimes now the basic areas of unit number 2, some of those, now when I say, for example, demand, when I say supply, when I say market equilibrium, those kind of things, you all should have a basic idea, because otherwise unit 3 becomes a little difficult. Now, for those who have no idea of unit number 2, I hope you might be covering that in school or somewhere else. If not, you can even purchase the recordings and the tunes of unit number 2 and cover it up that way as well. So you still can cover it up, no issue, but just letting you all know that it is connected. One more thing, before we get into the unit, Lamai, did you all get a small study plan kind of a thing inside your unit 3 file? Yes, a small thing with some different topics, right? So I want to start with that first, right? Because that's a very important thing I want you all to focus on is this. Now, if you all remember, on the very first class, I told you all, how many units do you have, Lamai, in the entire A-level paper or the entire A-level syllabus? How many units do we have? We have 12 units, right? So right now we are going to start unit number 3. Right? So there is 12 units in the entire A-level syllabus. These 12 units, Lamai, will give you a how many mark paper? How many mark paper do you get? You get a 200 mark paper. A 100 mark paper 1 that has 50 MCQs, and a 100 mark paper 2 that has 10 essay questions. Out of that, you have to do 5. That's how you get your paper, no? So from this 12 units, you get 200 marks. But something that I want to focus more on is on the first 3 units, now, if you all remember these first 3 units, even the first 2 units, we did it comparatively very slowly. I did not rush it, right? We did not finish things for the sake of finishing it. We took our time. We did a lot of questions, right? We did all of that. So the reason I did that is, your unit number 1 to unit number 3. That's why I've given you all a study plan as well. These 3 units, any guesses as to how many marks these 3 units gives you out of the 200 mark paper? You get roughly around, right? Out of the 200 mark paper, you get 3 essay questions. Now, 3 essay questions is 60 marks. Plus, you get close to around, I would say around, let's say the first 12 MCQs, right? The first 10 to 12 MCQs. So 10 to 12 MCQs is 20 to 24 marks, right? So 60 marks in paper 1, sorry, 60 marks in paper 2, around 20 to 24 marks in paper 1. So roughly out of your 200 marks, you get around 80 to 84 marks. This is the actual A-level paper I'm talking about, not your term exam or anything. Out of your actual A-level paper, the 200 mark paper, around 80 to 84 marks comes from unit number 1 to 3. Now, you all have learned unit 1 and 2. And so 1 and 2 itself gives around that's 40, close to around 50 marks. Unit 1 and 2, the units that you all have done. Okay. So now we're starting unit number 3 today. Now, unit number 3, will take roughly around, my plan is to finish it off by somewhere around in February. So that means there will be today's class, another class on the 31st as well. And then roughly around another 7-8 classes, we will be able to finish. So this study plan is also made for that time period, starting from today, from December until February. What I want you all to do is, I want you all to study these 3 units again and again. The reason that I'm telling you to study these units again and again and again is because how important these units are. If you really think of it, you can pass A-level econ by just knowing the first 3 units. Do you all realize that? To pass the exam, you need 40 out of 100. 40 out of 100 ki 80 out of 200. So the first 3 units itself is giving you 80 out of 200. If you don't know any other unit, let's say unit 4 to 12, you have zero idea. And let's say you know these 3 units very well, you score the full marks for these 3 units, you can still pass the exam. Then imagine the people who actually fail econ. Imagine how bad their situation means. Yeah, pass means just to get an S. I'm just telling you, I'm not targeting for you all to get an S, but I'm trying to show you how important the first 3 units are. With just the first 3, you can pass the exam. You can just at least get an S. It gives you around 40% of your total A-level papers marks. So that's how important the first 3 are, and the first 3 units are the easiest 3 units. So if you master this now, so far, remember, you all have only studied this once with me, right? We have only taught you the theory. Now we will start a revision class. There will be a past paper class. You will have a fast track program. We will have a mock exam series. So around 5 times I will cover the syllabus with you. We have still done it only once, right? So far, I have not taught you all answer writing. We have not done papers. We've just done a small unit test. That's all. That's not papers really, right? So we've just learned theory. And so far with what we have done, with just the theory itself, I feel that most of you all have done well. Because I looked at your unit test, yes, not the perfect answers, but comparatively, you all have done well by looking at the unit test. For a group of students who I have not even taught answer writing, who I have not even done papers with, that is brilliant how you all have done the unit test. So imagine once we do the whole syllabus 5 times, we do revision, fast track, we do all of it, you all will definitely get there. So our target is not just to pass the exam, is to get not just the 75, also to get that 90 or more than that 90. So for you to do that, this is the first main target that I'm going to give you all. Right? So that's why I printed and put a small study plan also inside your unit 3 file. Is I want you all, I don't really care how much time you all take, when you all do this, that is up to you. Okay. Today is the 24th of December. You have time until the 28th of February. So meaning roughly around 2 months, maybe a few 2 months and 1 week is what you have. So what I want you to do is, Lamai, now these are small topics. These are not big topics. And it will even act as a motivational factor. What I want to do is, Lamai, once you study a certain small subtopic, put a tick next to it. That's what I want you to do. Right? So now you open your tutes and now take your unit 1 tute. Let's say, okay, now you study economic behavior and the definition for economics. That is your first page in the unit 1 tute level. It will take you maximum, I would say, 5 to 10 minutes to study that area. When I say study, you don't have to memorize. Don't worry about memorizing and by hearting. No, just go through that again. Read that, put that into your head. Remember that a little. Okay, so once you're done that, okay, you put one tick. Like one tick on your study plan, you can mark. Then the next one says, okay, microeconomics versus macroeconomics. Then that is your second page, I think, in your unit 1 tute. So go through and see what is microeconomics, what is macroeconomics. These are some examples. Roughly have a basic idea. Right? That will again take you, let's say, Lamai, let's say 5 minutes, 10 minutes max. It can't take you long, right? It will only take you, let's say, 5 to 10 minutes. And then you tick it. And then that is also done. So likewise, Lamai, for every box I have given, you keep on ticking. Then why is there 3 columns? The reason why you have 3 columns is, Lamai, I don't want you all to study this once. I want you all to study this thrice. Now you will wonder, sir, do we even have time to study this thrice, sir? It's like this. Anything, Lamai, when you study it for the first time, it takes time. Second time, the time reduces even more. The third time you study it, Lamai, the time is even, right? So even less, sorry. Right now, I'll just give you an example. Let's say the first time you're studying, Lamai, economic behavior and definition for economics, it might take you, let's say, 10 minutes. Okay, just to read that page and skim through and put it into your head. The second time, let's say 1 month later, when you study that part again, now it might not take you 10 minutes, Lama. Trust me when you do this. When you study something for the first time, Lama, it takes time. But if you repeat it again and again, when I say repeat it again, don't study it today and again study it tomorrow also. Maybe study it today and again in another 1 month. And you can study it again. So then next time you do it, even though you think you have forgotten, it might, let's say, Lama, take you only, let's say, 5 minutes for you to tick that second box. Then maybe in the last week of February, again, when you're going through this, to tick the third time, it might, let's say, only take you 1 minute, Lamai. It might look like a lot of work to do, but the third time that you study something, the time that you take to study it will significantly come down. You have to do this to trust. I'm just telling you this now. You do this, you will realize the first time you took to study something will take a lot of time. The third time, or let's say the fourth time you study it, it'll take much less time. You have to study the same thing multiple times, where you have to come into a position where one day before your actual A-level exam, you can study the entire first unit, let's say in around 15 or 20 minutes. If you come to that level, if you can, let's say your actual A-level paper is tomorrow. Let's say today, if you can study the entire first unit in around 15 minutes, that means you have studied it so many times. Now you can do it in 15 minutes. So you can't all of a sudden, Lama, if I tell you to study unit 1 in 15 minutes, it will be a joke. You can never do that. But you keep on studying, same thing again. Maybe the 10th time you are studying it, in 15 minutes, you can finish the entire. That's how it will go. So we start now. Clear? So first, what I want you all to do is, Lama, do the first round. Don't worry about the second and the third round. Do the first round. So you can start from today itself. These are small topics, Lama. These are not big topics. I broke it as much as possible so that it gives the satisfaction of ticking as well. That's also a bit of, psychologically, it's satisfying when you tick something. So your study plan, don't keep it inside your unit 3 file, Lama. Keep it on your main study table. So you remember to study. Because if you put it inside the file and keep, you only remember it next week. So every day lamai have a fixed time. Maybe it can be 1 hour early in the morning. It can be 1 hour late at night. 1 hour at any time that works for you. I think roughly if you spend lamai 1 hour every day, by the end of February, you can finish this study. It's not something that will take entire, let's say 5-6 hours a day. No, 1 hour a day. So in 1 hour, lama, you can finish multiple topics. For one topic, don't take 1 hour. Now, for example, micro and macroeconomics don't take 1 hour to study macro. That can finish in 5 or 10 minutes. Again, it's not about the time. I'm repeating. Some people, lama, will study faster. Some people will take it slow because different people are different. Now, sometimes Lamai, one student might take, let's say, 10 hours to study this, let's say, first 10 topics. Another student might take 2 hours and finish that. That depends on Lamai, how you're built, how much you have listened, and all of that. That is okay. So you go at your own pace. Don't worry about how long your friend is taking, how much they have done. It's not there. I want you all to finish this. And I want you to genuinely do it, not just for the sake of ticking it. On the last day of February, I want all of y'all to send me a completed set of pictures of this study plan. I know you can cheat and just put a tick, but let's not do that. Let's be genuine to yourself. You all know whether you studied or not. On the last day of February, once you have completed this entire thing, send me a proper picture of all the things. Is that clear, Lavaj? So this is for unit number 1, unit number 2, and for unit number 3. Now, unit number 3, you can't do it right now itself. Unit number 3, Lama, study it with me. So by the end of February, I will also finish unit number 3. Then you study unit number 3 with me itself and get that done. And so you can be creative. You can do anything you want. If you want, Lama, what you can also do is try to finish all 3 columns by the end of February. The first column is what will take time. The second and third lemma will actually be much faster. Actually, if you've done the first 2, the third column in one day, you should be able to finish one entire unit. So you can do it. Second chapter, the past papers. If you have done it, lemma, scan it into a PDF. Just send it to me. I will not mark the whole thing again, but I will roughly go through your answers and I will give you all feedback. Okay, just to again check on your homework. I'm hoping this part is clear. Okay, one more thing. How many of you all finished the unit 2 past papers? Yes, I can't remember when I gave it as a deadline. When did I give as a deadline? I sent you all 3 past paper tunes: demand, supply, market, equilibrium. I sent you the YouTube videos as well. Yes, 31st December. All right, so you have 1 more week. Did you all get started? Yes. I said 31st December, worst case 10th of Jan. Right, so please get started on that. Finish off the unit 2 past papers as well. Maybe if you want to do something, you can also, have a separate box here next to unit number 2 saying past papers. Right, so past papers, add a separate box. Second, okay, and get that done. Once you're done, Lama, you can just send me scan it into a PDF and send me your answers. I will not mark it word by word, but I will go through your answers and I will give you overall feedback because the answers and all are there. Now you can self-mark it. I will give you an overall feedback because I will be doing past papers with you later on also at some point. Okay. Past papers, Lama, yes. If you can't do it alone, at least look at the tutor and get it done. Okay, that is what you need to do. So I'm hoping that thing is done. Along with that, I want you to get started with the homework with the study plan as well. Yes, MCQs, please self-read. Okay. Study plan, just to repeat, Lamai. So the plan has simple topics. What I want you to do is finish studying these topics, go through your tunes. Every time you finish a topic, mark a tick. Put a tick. The reason we have 3 columns is for you all to study it thrice. But study it thrice means same day, don't study same thing thrice, Lamai. First finish everything once, and then maybe next month again, do the second time. Maybe the next month again, do it the third time. By the end of February, I want you all to finish off the study plan. Done. And then I also have sent you a blank page, which I couldn't send it for unit number 2 to make your short notes. Yes, you'll get that as well. inside your file. You have this blank. I think I sent the unit 2 blank one as well, but some of you all have already made for unit number 2, so then that's okay. There should be a unit 2 short note thing and a unit 3 short note thing. Yes. There is 2, no? No. So while you all study these topics, now while you all follow the study plan, along with that, make the short note and finish as well. Right? So I think unit number 2, I have broken into 3 areas. The entire demand area, that is around 50% of the unit, the entire supply area, and the entire market equilibrium area. So you can make the short notes like that. Now, unit number 3 also, I will show you the breakdown. Don't worry about that. Today, we will discuss that. So get all this work done, Lamai. I'm giving you so much of work now to make this short note, to do the past papers, this study plan and all of it is because how important unit 1 to 3 is. And some of y'all don't realize it. If you know unit number 1 to 3 properly, you will never fail the exam. You can get the exam done, you can pass the exam, and you are done with 80 marks from the A-level paper. You just need 70 more marks to even to get your A. You can target for much more than an A if you're very confident with 1, 2, and 3. So it's up to you to get the work done. On my end, I can tell you what to do. You need to get the work done. Okay? Now, the unit test and all, we'll talk about it later. Right. So now let me come into unit number 3. How is this unit broken down and what will we be doing in this unit? Do you all remember, Lamai, in unit number 2, we talk about something called market equilibrium. Yes, at the end. Remember, we talked about a market equilibrium price, a market equilibrium quantity. Yeah. So you know what is unit number 3? Unit number 3 is where, Lamai, this market equilibrium that we learn in unit number 2. If this market equilibrium, Lamai, is unfair, let's say if the market equilibrium price is too high, or let's say market equilibrium price is too low, or let's say the market equilibrium quantity is too much, they are selling more than what is required, or they are selling too little. So if this market equilibrium price or the market equilibrium quantity is unfair, government feels that something is wrong. Now, maybe for example, let's say take cigarettes. Let's say cigarettes equilibrium quantity is too high. Let's say the producers are selling too many cigarettes. So if they feel there's something like that, if they feel that the market, if the government feels that this market equilibrium is unfair, maybe the price, maybe the quantity, if they feel that it is unfair, the government will intervene now. They will now come into the middle. They will come into the middle and they will do multiple different things. They might sometimes, charge taxes. They might provide subsidies. They might, let's say, maximum prices, minimum prices. There are various different ways the government can intervene. So in this unit 3, we are going to talk about all of those different methods. There are 4 main methods where the government can intervene. We'll talk about taxes, subsidies, all of it I will explain now. Taxes, subsidies, maximum prices, and minimum prices. Those are the main things. So unit number 3 is more like a continuation from unit number 2. Unit number 2 talks about market equilibrium. If this market equilibrium is unfair, if the government feels this is unfair, price is too high or too low, quantity is too high or too low, government intervenes. How can the government intervene? Government can intervene into the market, Lamai, by charging taxes. That is one main area we will start learning today. Then another way they can intervene, Lamai, is by providing subsidies. We'll discuss this. Another way is, Lamai, by providing maximum prices. Right? By implementing maximum. Now, government can, for example, say, now this happened for eggs, Lamai. This maximum price story, do you all remember around a year ago, there was a shortage of eggs and one egg was selling at Ramai around 80-90 rupees, close to 100 rupees, there was an egg. So then the government felt egg is like an essential good, no? So that 100 rupees for eggs is too much. Equilibrium price is too much. So what the government came and did is, they set a maximum price. They said, look here, sellers, maximum you can sell an egg is only for, let's say, 30 rupees. They set a maximum price like that. That is a maximum price. That's also if the government feels the equilibrium price is too high. We'll learn all of these in detail. Don't worry. I'm just giving you all an overview, right? And then you have my minimum prices. So minimum prices is like, for example, let's say, for example, there is a farmer. A farmer is working very hard and he's cultivating paddy. Let's say he works very, very hard and he cultivates paddy. And let's say for a kilo of paddy or kilo of rice, he is getting only 20 rupees. So then it's very hard for the farmer to survive at 20 rupees. No? So then that means the equilibrium price is very low. So that is unfair for the farmer. No? So what the government will then come and say, government will say, okay, we are going to implement a minimum price for rice. Government will say, okay, if you are selling rice, the minimum price has to be 50 rupees. That is like to help the farm. So different ways my government can intervene. Don't worry about individual what these are. I will explain those in detail. And that is the entire unit. So this unit is broken into 4 main areas. One is taxes, which we will start today. Second one is subsidies, which we will do in, let's say, around 3 weeks time. Then we have maximum prices and minimum prices. And then there is a small area at the end, which is not a main thing, something called my price stabilization. That also we will touch a little bit on. Price stabilization. We'll talk about it later on. So that's the entire third unit. So if I am to go through your tute and I'll show you. So if you open your main tute, I hope you all like the print and all of it. So starting with this, your page number 1 is a overview, right? It's a overall summary. And then here, second page starts with taxes. Taxes is our first main topic of unit number 3. So this entire part is taxes. Now, taxes. There are calculations. There are so much of things. And then here, page number 16. In page number 16, you start subsidies. That is the next area. Next main topic of unit number 3. And then it goes on and on like that. And then here you will see in page number in page number 28, you all will see something called direct price controls, maximum prices. And that is that part of it. That's the third main part. And then you scroll down. You can't scroll, now you have to turn pages. And then you will have something called minimum prices. Here, so this is where minimum prices come. Under minimum prices also, there are variations. Right? So page number 37 has minimum prices. Right? That's the fourth main part of this unit. And then in the very last page of your tute, you will have, I told you, very small area. That is the area called price stabilization. That's how this unit is broken down. The reason I tell you the breakdown of the unit, it's easy for you to study them. Now, even when you all are studying, don't study pages. Don't say, okay, today I will study page 1 to 5 of the tute. Don't study that well. Have a big picture of the unit. Okay, this unit has this. If you take unit number 2, now you all know, okay, unit number 2 has something called demand. It has something called supply. It has something called market equilibrium. It has 3 main topics. Okay, so then when you're studying, focus on those topics and that. And that's what you have to do here also. Now, when you're studying unit number 3, you know, okay, that sir said there's something called taxes, subsidies, maximum prices, minimum prices, and he said there is something small area called price stabilization. So if you have that overall big picture, it's easy for you to study. Then one day you can, let's say, focus on one of these main topics. So let's say when you're studying, okay, one day you study taxes, the next day you study subsidies. So you can easily get that done. And this unit is not hard at all. I'll tell you, this is one of the easiest units. It's similar to unit number 2. If you know unit number 2 pretty well, this unit is very, very easy. There are calculations. Once you get the hang of the calculation, this calculation, if you get in your A-level paper, it's like free marks in your A-level paper. You can easily get this done. That's the story. Any questions so far? There was someone who wanted to give a summary on market equilibrium. I'll give you along the way. I will give you. Fine. Yes, all good. Tutes, everything shape. All right. Okay. So then we'll get started. Okay, right. So let's get started with unit number 3, government intervention to the market. So again, like I said, Lamai, this market equilibrium, that is where Lamai, market equilibrium is where demand and supply matches each other, right? Remember unit number 2. But this market equilibrium Lamai might not always be fair. This market equilibrium price, the market equilibrium quantity might not always be fair, Lamai. Sometimes the price might be too high. Now, do you all remember, Lamai, after the floods, there was a area where carrot was being sold at around 3,000 rupees a kilo. That is way too high, right? But that's a temporary thing because of the floods and all. It came back, but there are issues like that. This market equilibrium price and quantity might not always be Lamai, the most accurate, the most fair thing. So in such a situation, what happens is the government will intervene. They can't just stay silent. No. If the government sees, for example, an egg is selling at 100 rupees, or they see, let's say there is so much of cigarettes and alcohol being sold, government has to come and do something. So this unit is all about the various different ways this government can intervene. Whenever they feel that equilibrium price and quantity is unfair, government will come. Government will not just wait. So whenever they come and intervene, that's why this whole unit itself is termed as government intervention to the market. This market equilibrium, government is intervening. So how can they intervene? The first way they can intervene, Lama, we'll learn this in detail. I'm not reading word by word, is by imposing taxes. Now, what's a tax? A tax is where, Lama, the government charges a certain amount of money, right? Now, in reality, there are so much of taxes. No? There are income taxes, excise duties, VAT is there, import duties. There are so many different taxes. But here, Lamai, we will not talk about all the taxes. There is one type of tax that we will talk about. I will go through those in detail in some time. So one way the government can intervene to the market is by charging taxes. They can charge taxes on producers, charge taxes on the consumer. There are so many different taxes, but not all of it. In our unit, we'll only be talking about one type of tax. What is that type? We will discuss later on, right? So let me just to recall a little bit of unit number 2. Can you tell me, when we learn taxes under determinants of demand or determinants of supply? Government policies කියලා. I told you all something called taxes and subsidies under determinants of supply, right? So not that taxes don't affect demand anyway. Here, when we talk about taxes, we only talk about taxes on producers. We learn it in detail, don't worry. So just to recall, if the government comes and charges more and more taxes from the producer, what happens to the supply? Does the supply increase? That is a rightward shift. Or does it decrease? That's a leftward shift. What do you think happens when there is a tax? Practically think, as a supplier, if the government comes and charges a lot of taxes from you, will you increase your supply or decrease your supply? You will decrease your supply, right? Your supply will then shift to the left or right. A decrease in supply is a leftward shift, right? So we'll discuss those also in detail. That's a tax lemma where the government charges a certain amount of money. And then the opposite of that is only a subsidy. What is a subsidy? A subsidy is where for every unit that you produce, the government gives you some amount of money. Now you will wonder, sir, does this really happen, sir? For every unit you produce, does the government give you something? Now in Sri Lanka, Lamai, in reality, government gives something called Lamai, a fertilizer subsidy. Yes, even for solar powers. For the farmers, right? For the farmers, Lamai, there is something called a fertilizer subsidy. When they cultivate, let's say, for example, if a farmer cultivates for 1 acre of land, there is a certain amount that he gets, Lamai, from the government as fertilizer subsidy. So he gets certain amount of money, which he can use to buy his fertilizer. Or maybe he gets like a discount when he buys fertilizer. It might be like a monetary benefit that he might get, Or sometimes he might even get it at a discounted price. Somehow he's getting some benefit. That is a subsidy, yes. Now, for example, I think there were situations where up to around 50,000 you can get as fertilizer subsidy. So for every, I'm not very sure exactly how much you get per acre of land. That I'm not very sure. But I remember reading a news article that says up to 50,000. So let's say for a certain amount of money, up to that, you get that. The reason for that is to encourage. Why is the government doing that? Is to encourage the farmers, because now food and all is a very important thing, no? Because what if all the farmers get discouraged and Sri Lanka stops producing rice and all? So to keep them surviving, to encourage them to produce more and more, what the government does this, and they can give subsidies. Now, for example, let's say the government feels that I am doing a very good job in terms of my classes. Right? So then government can say, Arshad, you're doing a very good job. For every student that you have, I will give you 100 rupees. Maybe government will say, okay, we will give you Arshad, we will give you a not fertilizer subsidy, we will give you a tube printing subsidy. Now, to print your tubes and all the tubes that you all got, that is a certain amount of money that I spend. No, I don't print your tubes for free, right? So let's say the government says, Arshad, for every student that you have to print your tubes, we will give you 100 rupees. So let's say my tube printing cost is 1,000. So then the government 100 also, if I put, then actually I have to spend only 900. It reduces my cost, right? Just like that, they do the farmers as well. So for the farmers also, for fertilizer, they give subsidies. So for every unit they produce, they get a certain amount of money. There are other parties also that get these things. I'm just giving you a real world example in Sri Lanka. In Sri Lanka, for solar panels, there was a subsidy. There are now these subsidies also, there are various types, right? I'll give you another example. There was something called a senior citizen bank subsidy that was happening, right? So I don't know if have any of you all heard that maybe your grandparents or anyone putting money. Now, usually, if you let's say go and put money in a bank, and I'll just explain that senior citizen subsidy. If you go and put money in a bank, let's say a normal fixed deposit, let's say for a normal fixed deposit, let's say you're getting 10% interest. If you go and save money, you get around 10% interest for a fixed deposit. For the senior citizens, those are the people who are retired above 60 years old, if they create an account and they go and let's say save money, they get a 12% interest. I'm not very sure about the numbers exactly. I'm just making up this 10 and 12%, but they get a little bit more than the other people. So they are getting 2% more. So that 2% the government is giving it on behalf. Now you will go and put it, let's say, in Sampath Bank. So Sampath Bank is giving normal people, they give 10%. But for all people, they are giving 12%, means they are giving 10%. Plus government tells them, you give 2% more, I will give you that money. That is to encourage these retired people, because retired people, they don't have a source of income, right? Sometimes it's their pension money that they survive with. They don't, not everyone has money, right? So to benefit those people, they have a subsidy like that. Now that is different now, that we will not be talking about those type of subsidies in our example here. Yes, it's some sort of financial support. So these are sorry, these are real world examples that happens in Sri Lanka. On one side, they charge taxes. On the other side, they provide subsidies, but we won't talk about all of it. There are specific type of subsidies that we will talk about. Now, just to connect this with our unit number 2, if the government gives you a subsidy, what will happen to your supply? Will you increase your supply or decrease your supply? If the government comes and says, Arshad, for every student you're teaching, we will give you 200 rupees to print tubes, I'm going to be very happy about it, right? What will I do to my supply? I will increase my supply. That's what I will actually do. And then you also have that's taxes and subsidies. And then apart from that, you also have this maximum prices and minimum prices. This maximum prices, minimum prices comes under this heading called price controls. or direct price controls, we will learn. Don't worry. That's another way the government can intervene. Now, they did this to my maximum prices. An example I can give you is for eggs. Now, in Sri Lanka, there was a certain point where one egg was selling at around 100 rupees. Government realized eggs are like an essential good. Even the poor families who can't afford meat, they don't have money to buy chicken and fish and prawns and beef and all of that. They might not have money, but at least they try to buy an egg and get that protein. Now, when an egg is 100 rupees, then what happens to those families? So then government realized when an egg is selling at 100 rupees, that is unfair. The poor person is harmed even more. So what the government did was they came and now they put a maximum price. They said maximum you can sell an egg is for, let's say, 40 rupees. You can't sell an egg for more than that. You sell it at less than 40 rupees, no problem. You sell it at 5 rupees, 10 rupees, 20 rupees, I don't have a problem. But maximum you can sell is for 40. Don't sell for a price more than 40. That's a maximum price. That also we will learn now. Then another one is minimum price. That is the opposite. Now that is, for example, let's say for something like paddy. Sometimes these paddy farmers, you all know you can't cultivate paddy in a day. It takes around 4-5 months for the entire harvest to come. Let's say a farmer is working so hard that he's working so hard and does everything, and he cultivates paddy. And for a kilo of rice, if he's only getting 20 rupees, very unfair, for him, how hard he is working. So then the government will come and say, look here, for a kilo of rice, the minimum price is 50. So you can minimum sell a kilo of rice for 50. Anything more than that is no problem. You sell at 60, sell at 80, sell at 100, no issue. But minimum is 50. That is to protect the producer. And AY also they can do that. That is that. We will learn those also in detail. What will happen if they sell more than the maximum price? Then the government can take action. They can fine the person, maybe put the fellow to jail also. That can also happen. Okay. And finally, you have something called price stabilization. One thing that I will leave it up to y'all. I will teach this to y'all at the end of unit number 3. Have you all ever wondered why prices of agricultural goods are very unstable now compared to other goods? Now take, for example, your class fees. Does your class fees change every month? No. Until A levels, I will keep your what theory class fees, let's say, the same. Does, let's say, the prices of, I don't know, take a bottle of water, let's say, these things, do those change every day? No. But have you realized agricultural goods prices change almost every day? Have you realized let's say chili, tomato, any vegetables out there, right? Every day the price is different. Today's price is not the price tomorrow. Why? Every other good prices are almost stable, right? So that's something I want you all to think. Think it for over the next 2 months. At the end of this unit, I will teach. Okay. Why does that actually happen? Why are the prices of those agriculture goods? Why are they very unstable? Today one price, tomorrow is another price. But other goods are not like that. And now your bus fare is not changing from day to day. No? Petrol prices don't change day to day. Why does it happen? I have a lot of reasons here. Some reasons are correct. We'll discuss at the end. Okay. So there was a question on maximum prices. So maximum prices are again under price controls. Give me a second. Sorry, a minimum price. A minimum price is government says minimum you can sell this good for this price. For example, government might say the farmers minimum you can sell a kilo of paddy is for 50 rupees. Anything above that is fine. Don't sell it below that price. So those kind of things can actually. So all of this, this page number 1, I didn't go into detail because this is what your entire unit 3 is about. So if you all look at your short note, in your short note, I have kept some space for this one, and I have kept some space for making short notes. So this taxes is my focus area 8. The area on subsidies, this is what I'm calling focus area 9. This area on my maximum prices is focus area 10. Area on, you can add what? Price stabilization also into maximum prices because it's a small area. I'm not taking that as a separate focus area. And minimum price controls, I'm taking it as focus area 11. So if you look at your short note, if I go back to that short note empty one, here can you all see now? I have in light gray, I have put here focus area 8. Focus area 8 means taxes. Focus area 9, that is subsidies. Focus area 10, this is my maximum prices plus put price stabilization also here because that's a small area. You can put that here. And then focus area 11 is minimum prices. So this is your short note. Those are the topics that you make the short notes on. And then the unit is agriculture prices, gold price, that's a different. So that's a tradable market. That's a different other story. Maximum prices, once again, maximum prices is where, for example, like eggs, where the government comes and says maximum you can sell an egg is for 40 rupees. You can't sell it for more than that. We'll learn those in detail. Don't worry at all. Okay, right. Roughly, do you all have an idea of my what this unit is about? Yes. Roughly what you will be learning in this unit. Individually, I don't want you all to know what is taxes, what is subsidies, what is maximum price. That I don't want to know. But you should know, okay, this is where government is coming. They are intervening. Different ways are there. We are going to learn those different ways. As you all, if you all know that, then that is fine. Okay. One more thing now, yes, the unit number 2 short note. That also you all would have got. I don't have it over here. For those who got the unit number 2 short note, because I forgot to send that in the unit 2 file. So in the unit 2 short note, you will have focus area 5, that is demand. You will have focus area 6, that is supply. Focus area 7, that is market equilibrium. So you can make your short notes there. Some of you all have already made it in a different A3 paper. That is okay. If you have not, you can get started with this. Yes, maximum price, you're trying to reduce the price, minimum price, you'll ready. It's correct. We'll go into detail, don't worry. Okay. Right. Now we come into our first main topic of unit number 3. Now we have an overview. We know what we need to do. You have your study plan, all of that. Get that done in the meantime. We'll start with our first. Okay. So my target for today is to, I don't think I can finish this part, but at least finish off until page number 3. I'll do a little bit and give you all a break, right? So we'll start a bit and then I'll give you all a break in a while. Okay. Right. Starting with a tax. Now you all know, there are so many different types of taxes. You can charge taxes on consumers. You can charge taxes on producers. You can charge tax in so many ways, right? There are, for example, property taxes, income taxes, import duties. There are 100 different types of taxes. But in this unit, unit number 3, when we talk about taxes, we talk about only one type of tax. That is a tax on products. Products means taxes on goods and services charged on, or we'll say not charged, we'll say imposed. Taxes on products imposed on the producer. That is all that we are going to learn in this unit number 3. Any taxes that is put on whom? On the producer himself. Taxes on goods and services put on the producer himself. We're not going to talk about property taxes. We're not going to talk about income taxes. We're not going to talk about import duties, nothing like that. We are simply going to talk about taxes on goods and services that are imposed on the producer. That is why Lamai in unit number 2 also, this is like a continuation. When we said taxes, it was a determinant of supply. When you charge the tax, Lamai, you said supply will shift to the left here. Because why? Because we're talking about taxes on producers. We're not talking about taxes on consumer. We're not talking about income tax. We're not talking about any of that. We are simply talking about what am I repeating it again? In this unit, when you say taxes, we're talking about taxes on the producer, the person who is producing the good. Taxes on goods and services imposed on the producer. When I explain this more and more, you all will get the hang of it. Don't worry. Okay. So then here I'm saying imposing of taxes on consumers and producers can be considered as a common situation of government intervention. There are two forms of taxes imposed on goods and services. One is a proportional tax, we call that an ad valorem tax, and we have something called a specific or a unit tax. We'll learn what these types of taxes are. The first type of tax is something called an ad valorem tax. Now, this is where the government charges a certain percentage as tax. See, imposing a particular percentage of a tax based on the value of the product produced. So, example, a 2% tax on a kilo of sugar. So, can you all tell me, Lamai, if a kilo of sugar was 100 rupees, then how much is the tax? If you're charging a 2% tax on a kilo of sugar, if 1 kilo is 100, then there is a how many rupee tax? There will be a 2 rupee tax, 2%, no? Then what if a kilo of a kilo of sugar was, let's say, 500 rupees? Is the tax still same? Is it still 2 rupees? No, right? Now, if you're charging a 2% tax, now if the kilo of sugar is 500, how much is 2% of 500? 2% of 500 is 10 rupees. So now a kilo of tax, the tax becomes 10 rupees. That is what, Lama, you call an ad valorem tax. In an ad valorem tax, what you do is you charge a certain percentage as a tax. Example, a 2% tax on sugar. Now, maybe if the government wants to charge a tax from me, government will say, Arshad, from your class fees, you have to pay a 10% tax. So then, if my class fees is 3,200, I have to pay 320 rupees. But if my class fees is, let's say, 4,000, then I have to pay 400 rupees. So when the price of your good changes, the percentage that you pay as tax will also then change. That is what you call an ad valorem or a proportional tax. Then the next type of tax is even easy than this. A next type of tax is something called a unit tax. A unit tax, or we call that a specific tax. This is where the government charges a fixed amount as taxes per unit. Here, see, for example, imposing a tax of 10 rupees per kilogram of sugar. So whether the sugar kilo is 100 rupees or whether the kilo of sugar is 500 rupees, the tax will always be how much then? Tax will always be 10 rupees. That is what a unit tax. So a unit tax, there is no percentage, there is no calculation or anything. Government will simply say, okay, for a kilo of sugar, I'm charging a 10 rupee tax. Whether the kilo of sugar is 50 rupees, 100 rupees, 1000 rupees, it doesn't matter. Tax is 10 rupees. Now, government can do that for me as well. Government can tell Arshad, for every student that you have to pay us a 200 rupee tax. So whether I am charging my class fees is 500 rupees, whether my class fees is 5,000 rupees, I have to pay 200 rupees as tax. That is what you call a unit tax. It's more fixed. It doesn't change with the price. That's why you call it a specific tax. But an ad valorem tax is different. An ad valorem tax is where you charge a percentage. So when you charge a percentage, when the price of the good increases, the amount of tax that you pay also increases. Right? If you're charging a 2% tax on sugar, if the kilo of sugar is 100 rupees, then tax is 2. But a kilo of sugar is 500 rupees, then the tax is 10. So the tax increases with the price there because you're charging a percentage. But in a unit tax, it's very, very simple. In a unit tax, Lamai, there is no percentage, there is nothing like that. It's like a fixed tax. Per kilo of sugar, 10 rupee tax. Look at the other examples. Imposing a tax of 2 rupees per loaf of bread. Imposing a tax of 3 rupees per meter of cloth. So whether a meter of cloth is 1,000 rupees or 10,000 rupees, we don't care. It's always a 3 rupee tax. That is what you call a unit tax. Is that part clear? The difference between ad valorem and unit taxes. Yes. Fine. Ad valorem is a percentage. Unit tax is a fixed amount that they charge. Brilliant. Now, one more thing. You all told me, okay, in this, which one do you think, Lamai, from these two are also taxes on goods and services. Which one do you think we will discuss in our syllabus in detail? Ad valorem, where you're charging a certain percentage, or unit tax, where it's like a fixed amount? Any guesses? In our syllabus, you actually go with the easy one. In our syllabus here, Lama, we will only discuss unit taxes in detail. Ad valorem taxes, it was there in all syllabuses. That is before 2010 and all, it was discussed in detail. But in our syllabus, from 2011, syllabus changed. Then again, in 2019, syllabus changed. Now, only unit taxes we learn in detail. They actually made it easy. Because ad valorem is a little hard, because ad valorem is percentages. So then what happens is the taxes change based on the price also. So yes, when your price increases, your ad valorem tax increases, more positive kind of a relationship. In your term exams also, they will not discuss in detail. So what you need to know is, you need to know what is ad valorem tax, but calculations, all of that, you will not get tested based on ad valorem. But I will show you, Lamai, the diagram. Look at this. Here, this over here. Okay. I'll tell me this, Lamai. Now, we'll start with a unit tax diagram. In a unit tax, now this is your supply curve. This is your supply curve. This is your demand curve. Where have we learned this? Unit number 2. Okay. When you have a unit tax, Lamai, what did you all tell me? Where will your supply curve shift when you have a unit tax? If you want, Lamai, we can omit the demand curve from this if it's confusing. What will happen? If you have a unit tax, Lamai, if the government charges unit tax, supply will decrease, right? So it will decrease. It will be a parallel shift like this. This is the supply curve, Lamai, after the tax. It will shift to the left. Okay, that is how a unit tax will work. Now, same thing. Do you think, Lamai, it looks the same for an ad valorem tax? Do you think now here it's a parallel shift like this? For ad valorem tax, Lamai, similar but a little different. Let me show you. For an ad valorem tax, this is how, Lamai, your graph will look like. Okay, so let me zoom in. Let's say this is your original supply curve. When you have a tax, what will happen is, Lamai, you will have a proportionate shift like that. Why is it shift in left, Lamai? A leftward shift in the supply is what you call a decrease in supply. We have learned that in unit number 2. So when you have a tax, Lamai, supply will decrease. That's why supply curve is shifting to the. Okay, this supply curve shifting and all is unit number 2, right? Oh, you're fine. Okay, so that's what happens lamai in a ad valorem tax. So in a proportionate, in a unit tax, what happens? In a unit tax lamai, it's a parallel shift. In a ad valorem tax, it's a proportionate shift. I'll explain to you why this happens. The reason for this is lamai, the we will learn this in detail, don't worry. The reason for this is lamai, the difference between the two supply curves has to be your unit tax. It's this vertical difference here. This is lamai equal to your unit tax. So in a unit, this has to be equal to your tax, right? The vertical difference has to be equal to tax. Now in a unit tax lamai, your difference is always the same. No matter what your price is, you always have, let's say, a 2 rupee tax. But in a ad valorem situation, it's not the same. In an ad valorem situation, lamai, when the price increases, you all realize the tax has to increase. You all agree with me there? In an ad valorem, when you charge a certain percentage, the higher the price ki lamai, the tax has to widen. So can you see the gap between the two supply curves, that is the tax, no? That eventually increases. Initially, lamai, the gap between the two supply curves is smaller. But the more and more it goes, the gap between the two supply curves widen. Why? Because the higher the price, the higher the. That's why you have a. This is a proportionate shift. What shift? Proportionate shift. For an ad valorem, you have a proportionate shift. For a unit tax lamai, you have a parallel shift. That's how that works. Supply curve, it can start at 0, it can start at this. Now that doesn't matter. I'm just showing two supply curves starting at 0. Even little here and there, that's okay. Okay. Right. So let me summarize the story again. Listen. Don't overthink these, Lame. These are just small things I'm teaching you. When we learn the other parts of it, Lame, these become very basic stuff. Don't worry too much about the small specifics. Right? You can make notes on your side of your tube. That's up to you. Right. So we started off with this topic called taxes. S plus T means supply curve after tax. Okay. So we started off this topic called taxes, and I told you there are so many different taxes, but in our syllabus, in this unit number 3, we will only be talking about taxes on goods and services. Taxes on goods and services imposed on the producer. That is why Lama in a supply curve is shifting. We are not talking about sorry. We're not talking about taxes on the consumer, because taxes on consumer, then demand curve has to change. So we are not talking about those. We are only talking about taxes on the producer here. That's why the supply curve is shifting and not the demand curve. But in reality, there are taxes on consumers also, right? In reality, there are other different types of taxes. In the syllabus, unit 3, we only focus on taxes on goods and services put on the producer. That is why the supply curve is shifting. And you all know, Lama, with unit 2 knowledge, when you have a tax, what happens? Supply curve will shift to the left. Supply will decrease. And then I told you there are 2 types of these taxes. One is an ad valorem tax, where you charge a certain percentage as a tax. So when you charge a certain percentage as tax, what happens? When the price of the good increases, the amount you pay as tax also will increase. Right? If a kilo of sugar was 100 rupees, you only pay 2 rupee tax, 2%. But if a kilo of sugar was 500, then 2% is not 2 rupees. Then 2% becomes 10 rupees. The percentage is the same, but the amount of tax you pay increases. How do you show that in a diagram? It's something like this. It's a proportionate shift. It's not a parallel shift. It's a proportionate shift. That's an ad valorem tax. So when you increase ad valorem taxes, supply will shift to the left, but it's a leftward proportionate shift. Same thing. When you have a unit tax is very easy. A unit tax is where you charge a certain fixed amount per unit of tax as per unit. For example, per kilo of sugar, you charge 10 rupees. Per liter of petrol, you charge, let's say, 20 rupees. Per student that Arshad sir has, you charge a 200 rupee tax. It's a fixed amount. So when you charge a fixed amount, that's a unit tax, then what happens? Your supply curve shifts again to the left, but now it's a parallel shift. It's a parallel shift to the left. That's how that works. Now, same thing, Lama, remember when you charge a tax, supply will shift to the left. Let's say if you reduce taxes, then supply will shift to the right. Huh? The opposite of it also, you should know. We have learned that in unit number. Right. Okay, that part is done. Shape is making notes compulsory. I would encourage them. Try to make notes as well. Don't just keep a blank dude, because these small things that you jot down while learning, it's important for two things. One is the fact that you're jotting down things while learning is keeping your brain active. Nathang you're just looking at a screen like this and waiting. You don't have no idea what's happening. You think you remember, but let's say 2 months later when you try to study, now you can't remember. But if you have made short notes, made like these side small notes, then you remember better later when you're studying. So try to make stuff there. 10 rupee per kilo of sugar has to be paid by the producer. Yes, that's what we will have in this unit. Correct. Okay. Right. It's 8:10. You all want a small break before we get into a bit of numbers and the diagram and all? Yeah. Okay. So shall we take a small break? How many minutes? 5 minutes, 10 minutes? Unit tax is constant. Yes, correct. It's 8:10. You all want 8:15 or you all want 8:20? Break till 8:20. There was not a single person who said 8:50. So take a break until 8:20. Class will go until around 9. So take a break. Okay, there's one person now. Take a break and come back by 8:20. Then we will go into a bit of calculations, a bit of numbers, and some graphs. Take a break. Okay, right. So we'll get started. This bit that we need to do, I need to do until, I want to do until the end of page number 3. Right. So the faster we do it, the faster we can finish off the class. Okay. So now listen, I'm going to explain the story, Lamai, to you with a bit of an example and connecting this with unit number 2. If you all remember in unit number 2, we talked about something called a demand and supply schedule. We talked about a demand and supply curve, and I'm going to put all of that into this now when we are learning. So we'll take an example of, I'll give you all some numbers, and then we'll see, Lamai, when a tax comes in, how do these numbers adjust? And that's what I'm going to show you. So I'll just give some random numbers. You can also copy it down. Just give me a second for now. We'll say 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. We go 600, 500, 400, 300, 200, 100, 0. This will go as 0, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, and 600. So let's say these are the numbers that we are going to take for our example to discuss the next part. So I've just given some random made up numbers. I've given the price, I've given you the quantity demanded, and I've given you the quantity supplied. Right? So this is a typical demand and supply schedule. So now let's say in such a situation, okay, the government comes in and shall we change this number? We'll not make it 5. Shall we make this 10 on the top of page number 3? Can you all correct that? Assume that the government imposes a 10 rupee unit tax. So for the numbers I gave, 10 is the one that kind of matches. Okay. So these are the numbers. You can get a screenshot, Lama, if you all have not copied down the numbers. It's easier, 0 to 60, 600 to 0, 0 to 600. So putting the numbers fast. So with these numbers, we'll try to do how this works. Okay. So we look at this. I'm saying, assume that the government imposes a 10 rupee unit tax for the goods. So change the 5 rupee into 10 rupees, a 10 rupee unit tax. The new market supply schedule can be shown as follows. So I'm going to teach you, Lamai, when the government puts a tax, how do you adjust? Now, remember, my taxes affect supply. No? So if it is affecting supply, means it has to affect your supply schedule as well. I'm going to teach you how does it affect the supply schedule. So we'll go one by one and I'll show you how it works. So there are two ways, Lama, that you all can actually adjust for this. The first way that you can adjust for this is, I'll just put a small heading over here. This is adjusting the price after tax. There's the first one. The second one is where am I? You adjust the, both of it has to give you the same answer. The quantity supplied after tax. Right now, this might look a little complex, might look a little hard. It's a very simple thing. When we do it, you all will see. Okay. So we'll do the first one. Now, I want you all to give me the numbers, Laman. How is the price going as? We're going to calculate the price after tax in the first one. It's a very simple thing. Price goes from 0 to 60. No? So we can fill in 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Can you all tell me, Lama, what was the quantity supply numbers here? When the price was 0, how much was the quantity supplied? When the price was 0, quantity supplied was also 0. No? When the price was 10, the quantity supplied was 100. So it goes as 0, 100, then 200. Okay, this was our original numbers. No? Where are these numbers coming from, Lama? From the previous page. Huh? The price and our quantity supply. So now I'm going to teach you how will you adjust the supply schedule when there is a tax. So in my example, there is a tax of 10 rupees. So when you have a tax of 10 rupees, there are two ways that you can adjust the supply schedule. One is you can adjust the price. That is one method. That's the first method I will teach you, which is very easy. The second method is where you adjust for the quantity supplied. It's a little bit tricky, but I will show you all that as well. So we'll learn the first method. Can you all tell me, in my example here, how much of a unit tax are we putting? We are having a unit tax of how much? A unit tax of 10 rupees, no? So then here, 10, 10, 10, 10 at each price, you're having a unit tax of 10 rupees. How do you think you can get, Lamai, the price after tax? Any guesses? You have the price before the tax. That is what? 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. You have the tax. How do I get the price after tax? Just logically just think and see, Lamai. When you have a tax, what will happen to the price? Will it increase? Will it decrease? I know, just randomly, just use some common sense. Yeah, I'll teach you. And what's going to happen, Lamai? When you have a tax, Lamai, the price increases, right? So how do you think you should get the price after tax here? To get the price after tax, Lamai, you have to add the price before tax and the tax. So earlier, when the price was 0, they would have supplied 0 units. Now, when the price is this plus this, so this is, let's say, the price before, no? So I'll just say PB, price before plus your tax limit. So how much do you get? Can you all fill in the blanks? Here you get 10, 10 plus 10, 20, 20 plus 10, 30, 40, 50, 60. That's how you get your numbers. Very simple. That's how you calculate the price after tax. Simply for the price before tax, add the unit tax, you get the price after tax. Add the first two columns, then you get the third column, Lamai. This is like grade 3 maths. Yeah. That's how you get the price out. Now, that's a very easy method to do. So that's one way, Lama, that you can adjust the supply schedule. So earlier when the price was, now I'll just show you how to read this. Now you all need to know how to read. No? I'll just take a random point. Earlier, when the price was 30 rupees, I'm just telling you to read, don't circle or anything. Earlier, when the price was 30 rupees, the suppliers were supplying 300 units. But now, after the tax, to supply 300 units, now they are asking for 40 rupees. That is what it means. Earlier at 30 rupees, they supply 300. Now at 40 rupees only, they will supply 300 units. Yes. Now there is a tax involved as. Or you can read it like this also. Earlier at 30 rupees, they supplied 300. Now at 30 rupees, they will supply only 200. If you want, you can read it like that also. Right? So just, this is the price before the tax and how you calculate the price. Our calculation here was this third column. That is the one that we actually calculate the price after tax. So once again, summarizing, when you have a tax, how do you adjust the supply schedule? There are two ways of adjusting. The first way of adjusting is by adjusting the price after tax. So how do you get the price after tax, Namai? Very easy. For the price before the tax, you add the unit tax, you get price after tax. Very simple, very easy story. Done. The sad news is this part, Lamai, doesn't get questioned much because it's very, very easy. The second one is what usually gets questioned sometimes. Adjusting the quantity supplied after tax. This first part is like grade 3 maths. No, A-level paper, if they ask this product, no, yeah. So they will ask mainly the second one that they kind of test. And that also, like, not always, but you need to know that thing. Right? Now listen. So here, we'll just fill the information that we know, Lamai. The price goes from, again, same numbers. Price goes from 0 to 60. So 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and 60. So price goes all the way from 0 to 60. And then quantity supplied before that we know. So before the tax line, it goes from 0 to 600. No? So 0, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. This also, where am I getting these numbers from? From the table from the previous page, the price and the quantity supplied before the tax. How much of a tax are they putting? They're imposing a tax of how many rupees? A unit tax of 10. That also I will fill tax of 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. Now, in the second table, what we are trying to do is, now in the first table, what did we do? We adjusted the price. So that was very easy, no? Price before tax, we added the unit tax, we got the price after tax. In the second method, we are not trying to adjust the price, we are trying to adjust the quantity supplied. Both of it ultimately gives you the same answer. I will show you all. How do you think we do that, Laman? Now here you're trying to adjust the quantity supplied. Now, if I'm to just tell you, earlier when the price was 30 rupees, okay, they supplied 300 units. My question is, now after the tax, when the price is 30 rupees, how many units will they supply? I'm asking what is the quantity supplied, not asking for the price. I'm asking, okay, for example, earlier when the price is 50 rupees, they supplied 500. Now when the price is 50 rupees, how much will they supply? That is what I'm asking. How do you get this? Here am I. The answer is not very straightforward as before. Okay, some of you are giving me the answer, but I'll show you, Lamai. I have made, no, by looking at the first table, yes, you can get the answer, but forget, Say that you don't have the first table, then how are you going to get the answer? The price is number before tax. So now you have a price. Now you're adjusting the quantity supplied. Earlier you adjusted for the price. So now you're keeping the price constant and you're changing the quantity supplied. So how do you get this? For this line, there is no formal method, but I have made a 4-step approach, a very simple approach. This is not any, you don't have to write these steps anywhere. These are just random steps I have made to make it easy for you. Okay, so I'll teach you this 4-step approach lamai of getting the quantity supplied after tax. Step number 1. I'll just say 4-step approach. You can just jot it down also on the side. Or maybe if you have like a sticky note or something, write it on that. Okay. The first step is lamai. Find out the amount of the tax. First step is to find out the amount of the tax. Okay, tell me now, how much of a tax is there in my example? What is the amount of the tax? That is the first step. There is a tax of 10 rupees. Right. Step number 1 done. Remember, you have 4 steps. Huh? Step number 1 done. Then step number 2. Step number 2 is select 2 prices with the difference of the tax. So let me explain. Now my tax is how much? 10 rupees. So my step number 2 is telling select 2 prices that has the difference of 10 rupees. So let's say I'll select. Okay, you all tell me now, if is this correct? If I select the price of 20 and 40, is it correct? Step number 2 says select 2 prices that has the difference of 10. Difference of the tax. Now 20 and 40 lama is the difference 10. No, difference is 20. No? So can you all tell me a combination that I can select? There is no one correct answer. You can multiple. Maybe 10 and 20, 20 and 30, 30 and 40, 40 and 50. So any 2 prices that has a difference of the unit tax. My unit tax is 10 rupees. No? So then I have to select 2 prices that has a difference of 10. Now, if my tax was 20 rupees, can you tell me a combination I can select? In my example, if the tax was 20 rupees, then maybe I can select 10 and 30, 20 and 40. I can select that. But here, my tax is only 10 rupees. So step number 2 is select 2 prices with the difference of the tax. So let's say I'll select 20 and 30. Anything, any 2 prices that has the difference of the tax. So I'll select price 20 and price 30. Remember, it's not only 20 and 30. You can select 30 and 40, 40 and 50, 50 and 60. Any 2 prices that has the difference of the tax. That is step number 2. Right? That is also done. Okay. Select 2 prices with the difference of the tax. Step number 3. Step number 3 is, if the prices were 0, 20, then it has to be a midpoint. Usually they will not give you a situation like that. Okay. Step number 3 is lamai. Find the difference in quantity supplied if the tax is 10 means I have to select 2 prices that has a difference of 10. So 20 and 30 has a difference of 10. So this has a difference of 10. So as long as it has a difference of 10, I can select those 2 prices. Select any 2 prices that has a difference of 10. So it can be 20 and 30. 20 and 30 has a difference of 10. It can be 30 and 40 that has a difference of 10. Any 2 prices that has a difference of our unit tax. That's the second step. Third step, find the difference in quantity supplied at those two prices. Can you all tell me what is the difference in quantity supplied at those two prices? When the price is 20, quantity supplied is 200. When the price is 30, quantity supplied is 300. So at the prices that I selected, I am asking you, find the difference in quantity supplied. How much is the difference in quantity supplied? What is the difference between 200 and 300? The difference is 100. So that is also done. The difference is 100. Right? So then that step is also done. Step number 1, find the amount of the tax, 10 rupees. Step number 2, select two prices that has a difference of the tax. So difference of 10 rupees, I selected 20 and 30. Step number 3, find the difference in quantity supplied at those two prices. At 20 QS was 200, at 30 QS was 300. Difference between 200 and 300 is 100. Okay, done. Then the final step, step number 4, deduct the difference. I'll just say diff from QS before to get QS. Deduct this difference. There's a difference of 100. No? Deduct this difference from quantity supplied before to get the quantity supplied after. So tell me the numbers now. It can even go to negative. 0 minus 100. How much do we get? I'm saying deduct that difference from the quantity supplied before to get the quantity supplied after. 0 minus 100, you get minus 100. 100 minus 100, you get 0. 200 minus 100, you get 100. 300 minus 100, you get 200. So likewise, now fill and go. So now the difference is 100, 100, 100. No? So 200, 300, 400, 500. That is how you get the quantity supplied after the tax. I will explain it again for those who did not get it. Don't worry. See if that makes sense. Okay. Right. So listen to me explaining this again. What we are trying to do here is, Lamai, they have given us a price. They have given us a quantity supplied. They are asking us, when there is a tax of 10 rupees, what will be the quantity supplied after the tax? So in this second table, we need to fill the fourth column. They're asking us, what is the quantity supplied after the tax? So I told you, to find this quantity supplied after the tax, what you should do is, there is a simple 4-step approach that I have made. You can do this in multiple ways. I'm just showing you one way of doing it. Later on, I will show you some other ways as well. So one way of doing this is Lama using my 4-step approach. In my 4-step approach, the first step is to find out the amount of the tax. How much of a tax have they imposed? So then you have to read the question and see how much of a tax have they put. So in my question, they put a tax of 10 rupees, right? Step number 1 is that. Step number 2 is saying, find or select two prices. Now you have the price column. No? Select two prices that has the difference of the tax. So my tax is 10 rupees. No? So select two prices that has a difference of 10 rupees. That is why I selected 20 and 30. It has a difference of 10. 20 and 30, difference is 10. You can select 30 and 40, 40 and 50, anything. Two prices that has a difference of 10. Then third step said, at those selected prices, find out the difference in quantity supplied. So at price 20, quantity supplied was 200. At price 30, quantity supplied was 300. So what is the difference in quantity supplied at those two prices? The difference in quantity supplied at those two prices, 200 and 300, the difference is 100. That is step number 3. Step number 4 is telling us to find the quantity supplied after, deduct that difference from the quantity supplied before. Quantity supplied before is our third column. Difference is 100. So from the third column, if you minus the difference 100, you get quantity supplied after. That's how I got the number. So 0 minus 100 is minus 100. 100 minus 100 is 0. 200 minus 100 is 100. Likewise, I got the numbers there. How can we supply minus 100 units? Logically, you can't learn. Theoretically, you will learn. Okay? Is that fine? Okay. Now, let me show you that both of these tables, table 1 and I'll give you a practice question as well to do. That table 1 and table 2 are both showing the exact same thing. I'll show you that. The table 1 and 2 are showing the exact same thing. Look at how I read this. Okay. Watch carefully. Okay. Watch carefully. Text can be in sense also. The last one is the part 4 is deduct the difference from quantity supplied before. It's a very easy one. So you have a difference of 100. Step number 3 you got. So that difference, deduct it from quantity supplied before. So quantity supplied before is 0. 0 minus 100, you get 100. 100 minus 100, you get 0. 200 minus 100, you get 100. So that's the last step. Deduct that difference from quantity supplied before to get the quantity supplied after. Now, okay. So look at the tables. See, Lama, that the tables show the same thing here. Okay. Look at this. So I'll just select some random points in the table. So according to the first table, they are saying after the tax, when the price is 20 rupees, right? I'll circle the numbers that I'm talking about. They're saying when the price is 20 rupees after the tax, they will supply 100 units. Okay. My second table is also saying the same thing. When the price is 20 rupees after the tax, they will supply 100 units. It's the same thing you're showing in two different tables. I'll select another point. The first table is telling when the price is 50 rupees after the tax, suppliers will supply 400. When the price is 50, suppliers will supply 400. This one is also saying when the price is 50 after the tax, suppliers will supply 400. It's telling the same exact thing. The difference is in the first one, you're adjusting for the price. That's a very easy thing to do. Price before tax plus the tax, you get price after tax. In the second table, you're not adjusting for the price, you're adjusting the quantity supplied. So it's not as straightforward as this. Now, you don't have to memorize these steps. Now, with practice, you can do this in your head. I'm just formally making you write down some steps so that you get the hang of this. Okay. Right. So I'll give you a question and then I will explain that again for someone who is asking me. I'll explain that again. Now, the third time I'm explaining, I'll give you a question and then I'll re-explain along with that question. Okay. Right. So you can take a small sticky note and you can try this out. I'm going to give you some numbers. Price, quantity supplied before, quantity supplied after. I'll say price 10, 15, 20, 25. Quantity supplied before, let's say 500, 750, 1000, 1,250 and 1,050. And I'm going to tell you that there is a tax of, in this question, there is a tax of, let's say, 10 rupees. Okay. There's a tax of 10 rupees. These are the numbers I have given, price and the quantity supplied before. I want you to find the quantity supplied after tax. So follow my 4 steps. You can look at the tune, go step by step and give me the numbers. So these numbers, once you have calculated, you can type it on the chat box and say, yeah, I'll give you all 1 to 2 minutes to get it done. And to get the quantity supplied after. Give me the number. You can type all the numbers in one message. Remember, the tax is 10 rupees. Huh? So when you're selecting prices and all, be a little careful. Some of you are correct. Some of you are making a careless mistake. Okay, let me try. Okay, so we'll go through the steps again, right? One by one. See if you can figure it out. For those who figured it out, good. For those who didn't, watch. Now I'm going to explain the steps again. And if you still did not get it, Lamai, don't worry. The recording is there. You can watch slowly. You will get the hang of it. Okay. Step number 1. So I'm not going to write the steps again. Step number 1 is, Lamai, to find the amount of the tax. So can you all tell me that? How much is the amount of the tax in this question? First step. We have a tax of 10 rupees. Step number 2. Find 2 prices with the difference of the tax. So that means select 2 prices that has the difference of 10 rupees. Tell me, Lama, if I selected 15 and 20, is that correct? Does 15 and 20 have a difference of 10 rupees? You have to select 2 prices that has the difference of the tax. The first step. First step is 10. So then you have to select 2 prices. So maybe you should select, Lama, price what? Maybe 15 and 25. Or maybe 10 and 20. Select any 2 prices that has a difference of the unit tax. So my unit tax is 10 rupees. So I selected, let's say 15 and 25. That step is done. Step number 3. Find the difference in quantity supplied at those 2 prices. So at price 15 QS is 750. At price 25 QS is 1250. So what is the difference in quantity supplied at those 2 prices? What is the difference between 750 and 1250? The difference is 500. Step number 3 is also done. The difference is 500. The last step, step number 4, deduct this difference from quantity supplied before to get quantity supplied after. So when you deduct the difference, how much do you get, Lama? 500 minus 500, 0. 750 minus 500, 250. 1000 minus 500, 500. 750. Those are your correct answers. Did you all get it? Yes. The ones who didn't get it, did you figure out where you went wrong? If you've done that, then that is fine. Right, nice. Got it the first try. Brilliant. Even if you got this wrong, at least if you figured out, this is where I made the mistake, that's still brilliant. And there will still be some of you all who would have not figured this out. I always tell you all, there are a bit of slow learners and all of that. So that's all right. The recording is there. You can watch, you can figure it out on your own pace. How do I get the difference as 250? Difference is not 250 now, difference is 500. The prices I selected is 15 and 25. The quantity supplied at those two prices are 750 and 1250. So difference between 750 and 1250 is 500. Then that difference is what I deducted from quantity supplied before to get quantity supplied after. Okay. Take some time now. Even if you have not still figured this out, if your brain is still not functioning, by the answers that I've got, I know 90% of y'all have figured this out. But I know there is still that 10% who is a little bit confused. Why did this fellow do this? Why did this fellow do that? But that doesn't mean you give up on it. That doesn't mean you can't get an A. That doesn't mean this entire unit is messed up. The recording will be available on the website, right? So you will get recording access. Since it's a new unit, I will make a new folder for unit number 3. And within around, by this weekend, today is still Wednesday, so it takes a little bit of time to give everyone access. By this weekend, for everyone who has filled the monthly registration form, you all will get access. Once you all have access, I will send a message on the group so that even if you want Lama, you can read. Cool. Okay. Then let's go back to my kit. Then there is a small part that I need to do, and then we can finish. You can't select the price of 15 and 20 Lama because 15 and 20 doesn't have a difference of 10. In my example, we have a tax of 10 rupees. So 50 and 20 has a difference of only 5. You have to select two prices that has a difference of the tax. Now, right. So now we'll go into this Lama. Now in this Lama, can you all product if you all have a Tipex, or maybe you can even cut. Can you all erase these numbers that is here? This equilibrium price 540, 22, 50, 35, because I gave you a different example. So these numbers don't match. So erase these prices. We'll look at what happened in our situation. If you have a Tipex, you can Tipex it off. If not, you can just cut it off. Okay, and we had a tax of 10 rupees. Okay. Now, so shall we draw the graph for this? Can you all, I know you all have learned a bit of graph drawing in unit number 2. No? Can you all take these numbers, right? The numbers that is there in page number 2, and can you draw the initial equilibrium diagram? Don't worry too much about the scale. In a ruler shape, draw it. I will also draw it. And then later I will show you how to adjust for tax. So first draw this diagram with these numbers, this price, this quantity demand, this quantity supplied. Draw the initial equilibrium demand and supply diagrams. Forget about the tax. Later we'll adjust for tax. Okay. So I will also draw it. You all can also do it on your own. Okay, so this is the price axis, quantity axis. So the price of ours goes from 0 to 60. So 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Quantity goes from 0 to 600. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600. Okay. So I will jot it down. Yeah. So this is my scale that I'm taking. 0 to 60 as price, 0 to 600 in terms of quantity. Okay. We have learned this in unit number 2, right? You're just practicing to draw the graph. Demand goes when the price is 0, 60 QD is 0. This is here. This is here. This is your demand curve. So you don't have to jot every single point. Lamai draw around 2-3 points. Connect those. You will get your demand curve. Then supply curve starts from here. Goes here. There is 300 here. This is my supply curve. Okay. This is my supply curve. This is my demand curve. Can you all draw this, and can you all tell me now, based on this diagram and even based on the previous schedule, what is my equilibrium price and quantity before the tax? How much is the equilibrium price? How much is the equilibrium quantity before the tax? So equilibrium price and quantity, that's what we learned in unit number 2 at the end. So equilibrium price is here 30. Equilibrium quantity is 300. Can you all write that there before the tax, there is a blank space which we cut those numbers. Before the tax, equilibrium price is 30. Quantity is 300. You can put those numbers there. Yeah, that's the situation before the tax. Now we'll draw Lamai after the tax. Now watch very carefully. Okay. Now, how do we draw the supply curve after tax? Now, one thing you all know, Lamai. After tax, where should your supply curve shift? To the left or to the right? Supply curve should shift to the left or the right. It should shift to the left. So we look at our numbers and we'll see, Lamai, does it actually shift to the left? Right. So we'll take the numbers from our second table. We have our second table. Can you all now tell me? We'll see how to plot this. And erase these circle ones. From the second table, we'll take the numbers now. Right? When the price is, we'll start with price 10. Don't have to start with price 0, because then you have to go to the minus side now. We'll start with price 10. When the price is 10, second table, how much is the quantity supplied after tax now? When the price is 10, quantity supplied after tax is how much? Second table. Second table, when price 10, how much is the QS after tax? 0, no? Price is 10, quantity supplied after tax is 0. So we'll start with that. We'll plot that. Now after tax, balanna, when the price is 10, QS is 0. This is one place there. Okay, we'll take another point. Right? Once we have 2 or 3 points, we can draw the supply curve. No? So we'll take another point. When the price is 30, when the price is 30, how much is the quantity supplied after tax? Second table, price is 30, quantity supplied is 200. I will plot that point. Price is 30, quantity supplied is 200. Somewhere around here, no? Price 30, QS 200. We'll take one more point. Then we can, 2 points also you can draw. But we'll take one more. We'll take the last one. Price 60, quantity supplied is at price 60, quantity supplied is a 500. We'll plot that. Price 60, QS is 500, somewhere around. Okay. So now we have 3 points for the new supply curve after the tax. So now we'll draw a line lamai connecting that. That is our new supply curve. This is the supply curve after tax. So can you see it has shifted to the left? So I will label this as S plus T, supply curve after the tax. That's why the T is coming. Where has it shifted? Shifted to the left. Now, if you have taken a proper scale and drawn with this graph, you should be able to find Lamai, the new equilibrium price and quantity. Where do you think? I'm not very sure if my scale is the exact scale, but we'll try to see. How much are we getting as the new equilibrium price here? Not 40, right? It's in the mid of 30 and 40. 35? I'll show you how to calculate this also later without the graph. Equilibrium price is 35. How much do you all get as the new equilibrium quantity? That is here. That is between 200 and 300 right in the middle. Between 200, 300 right in the middle, 250. That is our equilibrium price and quantity. That's how Lamai, the equilibrium diagram changes when there is a tax. So once again, simple story. We have learned this diagram before. All what I'm showing you is when you have a tax, if you plot those numbers, you will see Lamai, supply curve shifts to the left, and then you have a new equilibrium price and quantity. So what is my new equilibrium price? You can jot that down. That is 35. My new equilibrium quantity is 250 units. Can you tell me, because of a tax Lamai, what happens to the equilibrium price? Does it increase or decrease? Earlier equilibrium price was 30. Now after the tax, it is 35. So equilibrium price increases. After a tax, it goes up. What happens, Lamai, to the equilibrium quantity? Earlier it was 300. Now it is a 250. The equilibrium quantity decreases. So what ideally happens, Lamai, your supply decreases. As a result, equilibrium price goes up and quantity decreases. That is what happens over, right? That is the story for today. In our next class, now you know what happens, Lamai. When this equilibrium changes, do you all remember I taught you all something called consumer surplus, producer surplus? Consumer surplus, producer surplus, remember? When this equilibrium point price and quantity and all changes, do you think, Lamai, the consumer surplus, producer surplus will remain the same? Now, if the price has increased, quantity has decreased, do you think the producer surplus, consumer surplus and all will remain the same? No. So next class, what we will do is we will learn how the consumer surplus, producer surplus, economic surplus, right? How all of these change, those triangles, yes, how those change, we will learn. And then we will learn something called net welfare loss, dead weight loss, and we will get into some calculations as well. So next week, my target is to finish off until page 6, and I hope we should be able to next week. So we'll see, right? So I'll turn the screen around. Will it be hard? Not really, if you understand the logic, Lamai. It's actually very easy calculation. Homework for next week is, Lamai, mainly to go through that consumer surplus, producer surplus, economic surplus, area and income. It's not a hard one. Remember, at the end of unit number 2, I taught you all, after equilibrium, consumer surplus, producer surplus, just revise that area and income, because we will be talking about those things next week. So that is when the government comes and puts a tax. Now, how does the consumer surplus change? How does the producer surplus change? All of that we will discuss. This is page number 3, if anyone wants to get a screenshot. Page number 2 is this the table. Okay. Right. So with that, we are done for today. The area we wanted to cover is done. And also one more thing before you all leave. Next week, Lamai, is the 31st of December. I don't want to give you all a holiday because last week, not that I canceled the class, because I did the exam. I couldn't teach you all. So I thought of still doing the class. I hope that is okay. But can we do the class in the morning? Because some of you all also might have plans at night and stuff. 31st night, you all might go out. Yeah. Shall we do it in the morning next Wednesday? Maybe from around 9 to 11 in the morning. Safe. I will inform it on the group. So instead of doing it at night, then you all also can go out on 31st night. We'll do the class in the morning. And then I will upload the recording also. So by any chance, if anyone has something in the morning, then at night you watch the recording. Okay. Right. So we'll do that. I'll inform that on the group. So I'm not giving you all a holiday because last week I gave you all the test and I couldn't do the class. I don't want to fall a lot behind. Okay. Right. So if anyone has questions, please stay and clarify. The others, please get all the work done. I will see you all next Wednesday, 31st night, ideally in the morning. See you. Bye-bye.